Hi guys, it's Ray. Today we are starting another Christmas tumbler. I'm going to use this vinyl, this Waterslide decal that I printed on HIIPOO brand Waterslide paper, and I am going to use my It's Pretty Personal White Platinum and It's Pretty Personal Basics Olive View, because I feel like this is a lot of red and I didn't want to do more red. So I'm going to do a 30-ounce skinny for this one. First, I'm going to wrap the vinyl on half. So I am going to trim the vinyl down to about 5 inches because that'll be roughly half. Can't see what the angle my thing is. I just want to make sure it leaves room for my decal after the vinyl is wrapped. And I don't know how tall the tumbler is. Right here. So about 9 1/4. All right, so I'm going to cut that to 9 1/4. Close enough. Scoot that out of the way. This vinyl came from 143 Vinyl. And I am going to peel some of it back. Maybe. Bring my cup back in, and I kind of want one of my little rulers, which I just had and don't know where are now, because that's about right. I remembered where I put them. I'm just going to kind of hold this here a minute. There are times when you need 3 hands, and this is one of them. I got too much of my backing paper peeled already, so it's not stable enough, if that makes sense. Close enough. And I am just going to smooth that on. There. So, that is step 1. I am going to grab my painter's tape, and right here, and it shouldn't hurt my vinyl. Okay, just want to double check. I'm going to tape off the edges of my vinyl. And I'm going to cut this straight along the edge here. Because I'm going to glitter over that as well. I'm going to do the bottom green. And I'm going to make sure I tape along that bottom edge since I am going to come up over a little bit with the green. Okay, and so I'm going to loosely set this in place where I'm going to apply it, just so I can see how much space it needs. And I am going to move that up just a tiny bit. Do an angled split on this one. That'll work. Okay. I just want to do an angled split for something different. I'm going to do the bottom color first. So next I am going to grab a medicine cup. I've got my green glitter handy. I've got some Mod Podge handy. Yay. And I'm going to, I don't think I have any fat brushes handy. Let me peek. I'm just going to use a foam brush, because if I don't use a foam brush, I'm going to be here all day using a tiny brush, and I don't feel like doing that. So, oops. I'd really like a darker green, but I don't have one handy, so I'm just going to go with this one. Actually, I'm going to go with this green, just to mix with my Mod Podge. And I don't need a ton. I tend to overmix these. So I'm just going to get a little bit of my Mod Podge out. And that is plenty. And then I'm going to scoop out a little bit of the paint. And I'm just going to mix that up. Just so I'm working on a colored base. I'm going to wipe that off on a baby wipe in a minute. So, I got my foam brush ready. I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm going to grab a piece of paper, and I am just going to paint that on. I'm going to do the green on the bottom as well. So I'm going to paint that on the bottom and around this edge. That's why I taped all of that off. Make sure you get decent coverage. And I do have enough mixed in the event that I need to do a second coat or touch anything up. But this is a fine glitter, and usually the fines will work with a single coat, so we'll see. And just apply your glitter. And this is going to get a pinstripe and most likely black. So if your lines aren't quite perfect, don't worry too much. Tap off your excess so you can see what you've missed. Like, I didn't get the best coverage on the bottom, clearly. So I'm going to tip that up and try again. Oops. There, that's better. So I am pretty comfortable that I am not going to need a second coat, but I'm just going to go over this all again one more time, just to be sure that I have adequate coverage. All right, and I'm going to immediately peel my edges. I'm not going to let this dry and risk sticking. So this piece was next, and I removed my tape in the opposite order that I had applied it, and I bled a little bit there. So I'm going to wipe that off in a second here. And I really could have just cut my tape, because now I'm going to have to retape the top edge. But, duh. Because I'm going to glitter the top as well. So, I have a tiny bit right here that didn't cover, or that I taped too far. So I'm just going to go right back over the top. Again, this is going to get a pinstripe anyways, but, you know. Wipe that excess off. Wipe that off. And I'm going to grab one of those small brushes here and just dust any excess off. So that is it for the green. I'm going to set this down a second, get this cleaned up, and I will come back and do the white immediately. Okay, so I'm taped back off. I am not going to tape off this line. I have some Mod Podge in a cup, clean brush, and I am just going to get it coated. I separate it out like this because if some of that green glitter transfers, because I didn't spray seal that yet, you can, if you're more comfortable, seal it first. Do it however works for you. But I didn't want to bother at this point. I'm going to wait until I get both glitters on to go out and spray seal it. That way I only have to seal it once. So I'm going to be pretty careful going along this edge. And this edge is also going to get a pinstripe. So I'm not that concerned. I'm going to blot that off because I did get a little bit of green glitter on it. And I'm going to finish coating it. Make sure you get it all. That's all. So, grab my white over here. White platinum. And same deal. Just has like a iridescent shift to it. This white. But I think I'll like it for this cup to keep its sparkle. Shake it off. I'm going to go over it one more time just to get any void spots. And I think that looks good, so off with the tape again. Off with the tape again. And I'm going to let this dry completely, the Mod Podge, before I take it outside and spray seal it. So I'm probably just going to let this sit on a drying rack for a good hour or better, just to be 100% sure that Mod Podge is dry, because you do not want wet Mod Podge under your epoxy. So I'm going to let this dry. I'm going to spray seal it a couple times so my glitter will stay in place, and then I'm going to come in and get a coat of epoxy on it, and then the decal. So I will be back when it is time for epoxy. Okay, I am ready to get a coat of resin on this. I don't really know that I have enough mixed up, so I'm going to do my best to stretch this, but I might have to come back in with another coat. In fact, I guarantee I'm going to have to. So, but I'm going to use what I have here and see how far I can stretch it. If I was smart, I would have started on the white, since that's what I need done the most. But this got a couple of really good coats of sealer to hopefully lock all that green in place. And through the magic of video, I will be back with some more resin in just a sec. Here we go. Have a lot of bubbles. I mixed really, really fast, so I'm going to have to torch it, but that's all right. I just want a good enough coat that I can go to my water slide after this coat. I don't know what I was thinking I could come into a 30-ounce tumbler with 15 mLs on a flood coat. I know better. I meant to go to a different cup next that just needed a final coat and got myself a little turned around. It's all good though. I'm all better now. Alright, so I'm just going to smooth that out. And this is KS Resin liquidy split. So this will be ready for that water slide. Hopefully after I go run some errands and make dinner. And I did not put any additive in this. I may in the final coat. I haven't decided. You know me, I like to use my cheats. I really like them over the printed vinyl, but I didn't really have that much glitter wander overall, so I may just leave it without. But I will be back to pinstripe this and get the water slide on in a little bit. Okay, I am ready to get the pinstripes on this and then get my decal on it, if I can remember where I put my decal. I just freehand cut these on my paper trimmer. They're 1/8 of an inch or so. Don't really know for sure. Don't really care. I just cut them about the same. So that's going to be one. Hopefully I cut enough little strips. I am absolutely loving this cup even before the decal's on it. This is definitely in the I want to keep it category. So I don't need a full strip for this part. And this line got cut a little bit thicker, but that's okay because I have more of that white at the top that I'm going to try and cover. So, and I am just trying to do this right in place on my turner, just so I handle it less. I mean, I am still going to have a little strip of white at the top, but that's okay. And I'm just going to do here to here on the green at the bottom as well, not all the way around the bottom, since that green is the front part of the bottom. And I will trim up all of these overhangs in just a second. I want it to cover the glitter, but I also want it to keep the plaid covered and somewhat even, so there we go. So I'm going to turn it a little bit. I'm going to take my X-Acto blade and just trim it next to that piece and there. Almost got my finger. This blade is getting dull. Story of my life. Spin it back to get the other four. I did move a little bit of green, but glitter. But I'm not terribly concerned, because I'm still batting the idea of putting a full glitter coat for my final coat anyways. So, there's that. Alright, so last stripe I'm going to do is where the two glitters meet. Oh my goodness. I was doing so good not fighting with them right up till this one. Okay. And just trim the tails off of that, just like you did. Okay. And this is that liquidy split that I used. I think it's about 7 o'clock now. I left my house 15 minutes after I applied that coat, which was at about 3. So it's roughly 4 hours later. I am already on to the next step. So that's that. My decal's hiding. I've got my super cute little gnomies. Aren't they adorable? I'm gonna let them sit a minute. My water's gotten a little cold, so it's gonna take a second. I just had my roll of paper towels and I don't know where I put them. Under my paper trimmer that I use to cut my edges. So I'm going to push that back down so it stays in there a little bit. And this is printed on that HIIPOO brand water paper, Waterslide paper. What did I just say? That I absolutely am loving. So I'm going to try and get this somewhat lined up. That's about where it's going to stay. So I'm going to pull it this way. So it's a little bit more that way than this way. Just trying to make sure it's kind of evened up side to side on the white. Gosh, isn't that so cute? Look at how adorable. I love it. I love it with the glitter showing through. It is perfect. So, I do think that this side, I'm trying to see where the water slide ended up. And I don't think it's overlapping the vinyl on that side. And it is overlapping the vinyl just right there on this side. So I do think I'm going to lift that just a tiny bit and trim it some more. With probably the worst pair of scissors in my craft room. But I just don't necessarily want it over the vinyl. So I'm going to double check and make sure it's straight-ish and even. And I'm going to squeegee out any water. And I think that looks pretty good. going to grab that dry paper towel and just blot off all the excess. And this is a relatively small one that I've got pretty dry already. So this is probably just going to sit for maybe an hour before I go ahead and move on. Because I'm literally getting no water at all out from underneath it. I got more water on the back side that's got to dry off than anything. But I mean, that's mostly off the back. So I'm just going to let it sit and dry for about an hour. It's pretty warm in this room too. It was like 75, 80 degrees today. It was beautiful here in New York. One of the last ones, so took advantage of it. But yeah, I'm going to let this dry. I'm going to come in and get the last coat on it, and that'll be it. Because it should only need one coat over top, because I don't really feel any glitter at this point. And this is very thin, and this is very thin, so it should cover with one. So I'll be back. Okay, time to get some resin on this one. Trying to get my glove on because I couldn't start the camera without it off. So here we go. I am going to put a little bit of Diamond Dust, Girl's Best Friend, in here. I can't help myself. I just want a little sparkle on the red. So I'm just going to do a tiny bit. Tiny little bit across the top. Mix it in real good. And get her applied. My glove wouldn't go on right because I had just wiped my hand on a baby wipe. So it's a little floppy. What can I tell you? There, just that little bit of sparkle over the plaid makes me happy. That's all I wanted. That's it. Just a tiny bit. It's not really going to be noticeable over the glitters. So I'm just going to get it smoothed out. I love this cup. I really want to keep it. Like, really, really want to keep it. But I really, really shouldn't. So, that is it. I'm just going to pick it up to show you. Look at how cute those are. I love it. So that is it for this one. Thanks for watching.